Hi, I'm Ronnie from Ronnie's Garage. Today we're holding our monthly tech meet and we're going to be doing a tune-up on a Silver Cloud 3. All right. First of all, a backstory on this car. We'll circulate this picture. Steve called me in a panic a couple weeks ago. Say I started up my car and there is a stream of gasoline coming out the bottom. Stream. And you can pass this around. You can all look at these pictures. It's it's something I've seen many times on these cars. And it's usually a couple of problems. I asked him first to look at the fuel hose, the main feed fuel hose on the right side of the engine. There's a big flex line. And to determine if it's that or if it's the overflow. And it was the overflow. This has a dual SU carburetor setup, 2 floats. The most common problem, it has since rectified itself, just so you know, without touching it. And I can't even charge for that. But they have inside the carburetors, we'll see it when we take it apart, these little brass floats on the Silver Cloud 3. And a lot of times these will just, the solder will deteriorate and they'll fill with gas. So the job of this is to float up and shut off the gas coming into the carburetor. So when it's sitting at the bottom, there's nothing to shut off that gas. It just keeps pumping through. So what we're going to do today is a tune-up. So a tune-up essentially on a car like this is not a major service, this is just a tune-up. So we want to make the car run right, so that includes cleaning the carburetors, doing settings. We're going to put new needles and seats in it, just in case that's what caused. If it's not a float, a lot of times it's just a sticking needle or a dirty needle. A piece of garbage got in there. You run it, and then it's fine after that. And then we're going to do spark plugs, points of condenser. We're going to clean the fuel filter. I wish this was a different model because the spark plugs are more difficult to get on this than most other models. You've got to pull the front wheels and the inner fender panels to get to those.
The famous...
Well, it's what it is.
The famous spark plug.
Let me get my gloves on. The first thing I like to do... Oh, here they are. Is
there any distinction between right hand and left hand as far as...
Under the hood, only the location of the steering box and the pedals. That's all. The engine and all that stuff's in the same orientation. If you notice on this side, there's this big old silencer, they call it, because it reduces engine noise. If you ever been around like a hot rod where they just have like a foam filter over the carburetor, you drive that thing and you open the throttle, it's just, wah, it sounds horrible. So what they do is they tune this so that it's a nice silent intake. But I like to get that out of the way, and it's very easy to get out. You have on this side, you have the clamp for the big air hose, which you undo that. Okay, lay that up there. And then the air cleaner has a hold down tab here with a big wing nut, and it's meant to go up here and just hang, but it's still hard to get in here, so I like to just pull them out just to make it easy. Plus it'll be better for the video experience. We are videotaping, so if you don't want to be on the internet, you better get out of here. One nice thing about the Silver Clouds is they got these handy little catch basins for nuts and bolts. You got these 2 pivot bolts. Take the nuts off. Now, if you notice, it just comes right out of there. And look at all the room you got now. One thing you got to watch out for is inside these hinges here are some little sleeves right here. Okay? And what they do is when you tighten up that bolt, they allow this to flip up and down. I've seen a lot of them missing the sleeves, so they rattle them. So you just want to make sure you don't lose those. I always get stuff up and out of the way. Oh, might as well do this. This has a wire mesh steel wool type air filter in here. So remember, this is the silencer and this is the filter in here. plenty of threads. Plenty. There we go. So this is still original. It has this centering piece here, and it has a rubber seal. It has like a step on it that goes down, and you'll see it has this archaic steel wool mesh thing you're supposed to wash out with. They use petrol. That's what they say in the owner's manual. Wash it out with petrol, and then you blow it off, and then you're supposed to oil it. But in these days of modern air filters, I like to use a nice paper filter. It fits right in there. Look at that. The Wix number on this is 42630. And that fits the Silver Cloud 2s and 1s. Or I mean 3s, sorry. Put your same thing in there.
And that probably does a better job because of the media being paper, right?
I will show you how good a job. This will do so much better because it filters out into smaller, super small particles. When we take the carburetors apart, I'll show you how well this thing does. Look at that. A bunch of garbage in it. Because the slides inside, on one side, they will get a bunch of mud growing on them from the dirt coming in through there.
And how often do you recommend changing this?
Well, it's part of a 2-year major service, so these cars don't get driven that much. So 2 years light. I think in the manual they say every 6,000 miles you're supposed to do it, which on a modern car they want you to tune it up every 100,000, right? Yeah. Okay, now we can see all this stuff much better. But we're gonna get her up and we're gonna work underneath. Okay, you're probably wondering why I'm lifting it all the way up. Part of a tune-up, especially since this had a problem with the fuel system where most likely a piece of dirt got under a needle and seat, is to clean the fuel filters. These have serviceable fuel filters. If you want to see where it was pumping out in life, it's this tube right here. This is the fuel overflow tube, okay? Now he's got this one up out of the way. This is another tube here. If you look at this one, what it takes, can you see that, Steve? Mm-hmm. See how it's got a fitting? Inside there's a little aluminum or plastic ball. Now this is also a drain, but what that drain is for the intake manifold. So these cars, when you drive them, bless you, it's normal for them to drip gas every once in a while when you turn them off. And what happens is it gets warm under the engine compartment. The fuel in the float bowls will percolate, they call it, and it'll come out and it'll go through past the butterflies down into the intake manifold. And if they didn't have a way to get rid of that, it would be flooded every time you tried to start it. And normally on an old car with carburetors, when you go to start it, when it's warm, you always open the throttle. Always open the throttle. So this little tube here connects to the bottom of the intake manifold, comes down here, and it has that little ball in there so that when you turn the car off, there's no vacuum. That ball drops down and it allows it to drain. As soon as you start the car, the vacuum sucks up that ball and you don't have a vacuum. Okay? So the fuel filter on this thing is this big bad boy right here. As you can see, you've got a line coming in here from the gas tank. It's got a nice little loop. These are copper lines, and then this goes forward. So I'm going to get the tools to take it off.